What's up? It's your boy Carcino, and yes, I finally watched the what was apparently an interview by The Root with Malik Yoba, and naturally, this didn't catch my attention when it was first aired. So I went there to watch it, and people's like, "Man, you gotta see this dude. He erupted. He went off." Malik Yoba, man, he went off. He went ham. So the first time I seen it, somebody on one of the social media sites posted the explosion. And that's how they put it. He exploded. He went off. Well, I think a lot of people need to listen more than wait for a situation. And that's part of the problem. Imagine you going to the movies and you waiting on a certain part that you missed the rest of the movie because you're waiting on one part. I can't wait till that part in the trailer show up. You already seen the part. That part was to get you in there to watch the movie. And the part that people missing was that this was poorly done. I'm serious. I'll listen to the interview and I'm like, okay, this is this is not right. I'm serious. I'm looking at this interview. Ooh, bless me. And I'm like, this ain't right. Because the interviewer, not saying that, I know I don't remember his past work. He might done some marvelous jobs in the past. This guy had an agenda, in my opinion. I saw this interview and right away I said to myself, this isn't good. Like this guy had I'm taking a stance in the interview. Now, when you listen to the entire interview, he basically explained a lot of the things before he even asked the question. It was already explained. He wasn't even paying attention. All he wants to do is get to his next question, which was basically answered in the last question. And as someone who has interviewed people before, me, as somebody who's done that before, I know if that happens, that I need to skip that next question. If I had that question on the back burner, if I hear my answer to the next question, I'm not going to ask it again because he just answered it. Then he gives his opinions and his thoughts and make a stance against it to try to make it like a debate instead of an interview. So now you got to decide, what are you doing here? And even Malik Yoba told him, look, you asked me my opinion, what it means to me. You asked me, you're telling me what it means to you. He was like, you asked me my. But it was obvious the person who was doing the interview was trying to go for, it looked like, in my opinion, a social media moment. And they started with policy, and you could tell this guy can care less about any of the things Malik Yoba was saying. To me, one of the most important things he said in this piece was the fact that he was shot in the neck, which I never knew. He was shot in the neck in 1983, and it was a 1 inch away from paralyzing him from the neck down, and another inch away from taking his life. So he's always been very grateful to be alive because of this. When you have a near-death experience, it changes you. It like squares off and centers you. So you want to make sure, for a shadow of a doubt, you want to make sure, no doubt at all, you're doing everything you're supposed to do on all levels. Now, here's the kicker. Once this is ignored, this man, while he's talking about getting shot in the neck and what it meant to him, this guy's like reaching over, grabbing something to drink. He's not engaged at all with anything that this guy's talking about, Malik Yoba's talking about personally. He's going through the procedural questions so he can go and interrogate the man and go right over the same thing again and started kicking off now with allegations and saying, well, social media said. So we're going to talk about probably a 15, 16-year-old person who's a troll online that you don't even know who it is. Who is social media? That was the dumbest question I ever. Well, we went to social media and social media said, you went to social media. I mean, you found a bunch of quotes from a bunch of random profiles that fit something that you wanted to put on your show. So that was your research, was to go to a chat room and find some questions from some random people who are probably not even using their real names. Wow. And you bring that to a respected artist in the game and said, well, social media said, oh my God. They goofed this interview. They goofed it. But they got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. At the end of the interview, he exploded because of the way he was being treated. And they got what they wanted. If that man says, look, I want to stand up for transgenders, whatever, that's his prerogative. I don't see what the story is. This man said he lost jobs because of this. Another key thing that was brought up in the interview. He's lost jobs. People have yelled at him. People look at him sideways now. They have said things. So he's like, I'm being judged already just for standing with these people. Just for standing with them, I'm being judged. So now he's lost everything. Business, money. It's like this is his life. So the interviewer saying, I'm just feeling like the way we going and the way we doing this interview is just looking bad for you right now. It's looking worse. He's like, this is looking bad for me. All the stuff I've just said on this show is looking bad for me now. That's it. We're done. We're done. That's it. We're done. And that's what made him blow up. How you gonna sit there and tell him? First, I thought that was Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. I'm like, why they got Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics interviewing this man? Then they was like, oh, that's not him. I'm like, oh, okay. He must be related to somebody. I don't know. They look just alike. But how you gonna say that to this man? I was like, wow. Unbelievable, man. It was unbelievable to watch that. And the way he blew up, I'm surprised he didn't punch the man. He wanted to. He wanted to. But that was probably the worst setup I probably have seen. Because it was so deliberate. Like, look, this is what we want to talk about. And to actually sit there and tell this man who's been telling you like how his life has been changed dramatically since all of these things have happened. You know, what it's doing to him and why he took the stand and doing these different things. He was telling you then, like all the things that have happened since that point. No matter how you personally may feel about the subject, your job was to ask the questions that were on the card that you brought. You had your flashcards, use your cards. But to sit there and say, I just, I feel that this is kind of making you look bad. How's it making him look bad? It's what he feels. He just told you everything about what he was doing. Like he's saying, you sat with him for 4 hours. 4 hours. Y'all sat with him for 4 hours. Let me explain to you guys how an interview goes sometimes. Interviews sometimes take hours because you want to go through talk points. And when you're trying to go through talk points, you know, different things happen. You know what I'm saying? Different things are taking place. Different things are transpiring. So when you see situations in which uh, when someone is going through a process where they got to get interviewed and it's a very touchy subject, like they have a lawsuit, mostly people sit down with legal and saying what they can say and what they can't say, or they go over the talk points of the interview and what they want to do. And it was clear here that there were talk points that they wanted to go through in the interview, and they probably said, okay, we'll touch this for a little bit, and this guy got there and stayed on that. And sometimes when people do that, now they disobeyed your trust. We've seen this happen in interviews, but we only see the person who's doing the interview or who's getting interviewed. That person becomes annoyed. And we always see that, like, man, they was just in a bad mood. And if they be in a bad mood because they've been betrayed in the interview and been set up. And what they agreed to do, you've now changed once it went live. So that's why you've seen an explosion. And this is why, people lose trust. They want that one little moment so much to where they don't realize that they damage relationships doing that. I remember a show, a company did this. I think it was overseas with Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton has a band. He plays a musical band, and he did not want and definitely told them, I don't want to talk about my acting career. Do not ask me any questions about acting. I'm here as an artist, a musician. Ask us questions about the music and the band. Do not bring up my film career. This was agreed. So when they sat down to do the interview, then the guy brought up his film career after going through the talk points. So Billy Bob Thornton was basically beyond pissed during the interview. And the guy even brought it up. It's like, we spoke about this. And then the guy's like, well, yeah, but you're a big star. And man, that interview was one of the last that company got. The talent agent took a lot of the artists away from that show. So it went way beyond Billy Bob Thornton. So you can end up damaging yourself by trying to go for that one internet moment. So just think about that for a moment. You could damage yourself doing that. So no matter what your personal opinion may be of Malik Yoba, you were interviewing him, and it was going to probably be a very good interview had you actually listened to what the man was actually saying and pay attention to what he was saying. You had a good interview if you didn't jag it. If you didn't come in pre-programmed to try to challenge the man. If you wanted to do a debate, he wasn't going to debate with you. If you asked him intelligent, engaging questions, he might have answered you. If you was inquisitive enough to want to learn, to listen to what he had to say. And then you could have rebutted with something that made some sense instead of giving your point of view. Like, I just want to give my point of view instead of asking a question to, to try to rebut what he was saying, but just inquisitively asking a question so you could have more clarity. You didn't do that. And that interview to me was a failure. So that's my take on it. I watched it. Thank you. And for those who support the page, I want to say thank you again. For those guys who hit the Streamlab, that's the link in the description box. And for those who hit up the Cash App, my name is Carcino on the Cash App. Once again, I will put 4 videos up. Hopefully they stay up on the screen long enough for you to see them and decide which one you want to watch. I'm out.